recording started. So again, happy to have everyone here today for our first meeting for the AI engineering book. And there are 10 chapters in this book. Let me actually share my screen so that you can see. Oh, yeah. Thanks so much, Aaron. Take the note. So we have a shared sign-up sheet here, and yeah, there's still some slots open, and if you like, you can just put your name there, and so basically you would read the chapter ahead of the time and put up some slides for summarizing that chapter and lead a basically brief presentation for about 20 or 30 minutes, and then we can continue with the discussion further along, just in case if some our members have not got the time to read the chapters before the meeting, so that everyone can be on the same page by covering the key points and topics from each chapter. Okay. Thanks so much, Aaron, for taking the note. And yeah, get started. So for the first chapter, basically put some very simple slides we can go through. So as mentioned earlier, so this first chapter is very high level, not too much like technical thing, which will be the focus in the future chapters. But I think this chapter is also very helpful for everyone to read, to get a better understanding of what this book about and also what AI engineering is about, especially its differences with the more like traditional ML engineering and understanding the current trend and process of building AI applications. To share that. Can everyone see my screen for the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Sounds good. Yeah, so in this first chapter, it answers a very important question: is why, in the past few years, AI engineering rises and emerged as a key discipline, and how it is different from the traditional ML engineering. And then I think the key reason is that we have this GPT-4 Gemini models, which are the foundation models. And they are also very useful and easy to use as the API, so that as the developers or data scientists, we can just leverage these API of foundation models to do a lot of the tasks, which will be in the past maybe spending a lot of time and effort, but now just calling the API, we can build very helpful and productive applications. Because in the traditional ML engineering, the focus is usually more on building the models and training, fine-tuning the supervised model or deep learning models, for example. But for the AI engineering, I think this book defines AI engineering more around building applications using the large language model APIs. So the focus now is more on just like the traditional software engineering, things around calling the API, like scalability, reliability, and also Also, since the model is probabilistic in nature, we also need to do a lot of evaluation and make sure it's not hallucinate. And so this is very important that we understand the output from the model if we want to put into the production. So the next slide is, so basically it covers some different layers which are important in this field. So application is that, so here when we are talking AI engineering, it's more around we are going to build some user interface using these AI models. So yeah, either it is for the internal business use cases or the external product for the customer, such as a chatbot. User will always interact with our interface. So it can be a chatbot or maybe a web application. And the second part is that fine-tuning. So it's an interesting distinction between the traditional ML engineering is that in the past we will fine-tune the model, so it's more like hyperparameter tuning, doing a lot of experiments. But for now, we still need to do a lot of experiments. But the experiments are more like prompt engineering, trying out different prompts to see if it can get our desired results. And data set is also very important because, as we all know, garbage in, garbage out. So it also covers the importance of having the quality data to feed into the AI model. But the distinction here is that for the ML model, it's more the relational and structured data set. But for AI engineering here is that we can feed it more into unstructured data, such as text or image. And also the infrastructure side is things like model hosting and inference. So basically here, it talks about basically if we call the API, essentially it's using the model that someone else hosts the model for us. So it's very like we are using the AWS or cloud computing services. But as some companies or organizations, they might also host the open source or the proprietary models by itself. And then there are also lots of topics regarding the infrastructure around hosting the open source model and making it fast at inference. And I really like about in this chapter, it covers some cool use cases that organizations are adopting the AI and foundation models for. So one example is coding, and I guess we all have some experience with using the AI to help us coding, such as Copilot or Cursor. And the second example would be writing and content generation, especially in the marketing division. So the book covers some examples about updating the marketing and ads given by different seasons or making it more personalized. And the third part is education, which I think is also very revolutionary right now, is that because in the past, essentially we get the same education as our classmates, but with the AI and these models, it can be more personalized, such as essay grading, tutoring, and so on. So it's already changing a lot in the K-12 educational area. And also lastly, which I guess is a lot of people's perception of AI, which is more like a chatbot. And even now, even like Amazon, it also has the chatbot on their website. Because in the past, if you want to search some product, we will basically search in the search bar and filter through the results. But now we can talk with the chatbot, and the AI basically will give us the best recommendations and answer some questions that might be more difficult to find in the past. And here are more like some high-level stats. And so basically this is similar to the building the ML application process, because the book talks about a very important thing is that no matter what technology stacks you use, AI or the traditional stack, it's very important still is that we need to tie the AI use cases with the business outcomes. So it's very important to define the business metrics and also knowing what resources and efforts will be needed to develop and maintain those models. And it's similar to the ML is that monitoring is very important to make sure it's performant and also reliable. Because usually, as the book talk about, and also from my own experience as well, usually it's very easy to build a nice demo, but once it's deployed into production, it might have some unexpected changes or results that might make people lose trust in the AI output. Yeah, so it's very important to thinking about how to adopt the AI models to the best level. So one thing is prompt engineering. Essentially, it's refining the AI input prompts for the improved accuracy. So yeah, definitely there are a lot of resources right now in terms of how to doing the best prompt engineering. And fine-tuning is that if you can fine-tune the model based on your own data set so that it can be more useful for some domain-specific performance. And the other thing is that also the RAG was also doing the informational retrieval to make sure the response can also doing some cross-reference check and pull the information from the database you already have. So these are basically some ways is that adopting the generic AI models to your own use cases so that it can be personalized and be useful for the tasks that may be very specific. So in terms of the infrastructure here, so it talks about some if we need to host the AI models by ourselves, usually things will be like about the compute resources of lots of the GPUs and things like that. So it's so basically in most of the use cases, it talks about actually it's better to use the APIs instead of hosting the models or software by ourselves, because the technology change very quickly. And maybe once we fine-tune a model and deploy that on our own servers, and then the API, say from ChatGPT or Gemini, might decrease a lot. And in that case, we might be better off and more cost saving if we just adopt the API. So these are also some topics that we need to take into consideration when we are deciding between using the external API and paying based on the usage or hosting the model by ourselves. Yeah, and this is just a recap on the differences between AI engineering and traditional ML engineering. So in AI engineering, we do not necessarily need to do a lot of the model training from scratch, but definitely the focus will be more on doing things like prompt engineering and maybe a RAG. and also emphasize on application development, because in the ML engineering, we still need to think about how to maybe increase accuracy furthermore. But here, if we are calling the API, it's already say the state-of-the-art model, and I think there's will be a lot of value added if we think more on improving the user interface from the user perspective. So, for example, whether the AI part in your application is crucial or nice to have. So that will very much change or have an impact on how you design the flow for the user. And also, when we are adopting the model and putting into production, we also need to define the metric ahead of the time, like accuracy, latency, or response consistency. So that depends on the use case. For example, definitely in like medical or insurance, and it's like regulated and very important industry with sensitive data. So the accurate result will be very important. But if we are supporting a lot of users and they need the immediate response quickly, and then we need to make sure the latency at inference is as low as possible. And also, in some use cases, a model comparison, because even today, the OpenAI's model and Gemini will be different by its nature. So there are a lot of discussions and comparison online in terms of which one would be the best in your, for your use case. Yeah, another thing is a feedback loop. So I think there's also a trend right now is that just having the AI result might be not enough, but we need to think about continuous improvement and having the human and the user in the loop. Yeah. So it covers a little bit about the future. So one thing is that, so we are calling it the large language model, LLM. But actually, it's more the foundation models because it's not language only. Nowadays, the models are more like multimodal, so it also can understand and generate like images or speech. And another thing is that AI engineering is, and maybe some professionals would think it's more on adding the AI tools into the software engineering stack. So I think from this book and also some references it mentioned, it basically had a focus thing more about if we want to learn the AI engineering well, then we also need to learn these foundational and best practice in software and data engineering, so that in the end we can actually make a application powered by AI, but not just calling the AI the APIs. Yeah. So very briefly, this is a summary of our first chapter in the AI engineering book. Okay. Let me stop presenting. Yeah, and I think we can now have some Q&A. I can break the ice. So the first question I'd like to discuss with you all is, what do you think is the hardest or most challenging part of AI engineering? Yeah, so I think I can start my answer, and let me know what you think my answer is correct or not. So from what I see is that the most challenging part is not the engineering itself. It's more about prioritizing, especially for the enterprise, prioritizing on the use cases, what AI applications build. Because from my experience at large corporate, when we had the hackathon events, there are like hundreds of ideas of doing the AI use cases, and each one seems also all seem very promising. But for the executives and the leaders, they definitely we don't have the resources to go in all the details, and most of the use cases might not be tied with the business goal and metrics. So in that case, it's very important to kind of like allocate the resources and the time to the AI use cases that can best support the organization target. So one good resources I recommend is on the OpenAI website, they have a page for the use cases. So essentially for the organizations that have been partnering with the OpenAI, they will basically highlight some of their use cases, which I think is very useful resources to kind of understand and learn how different industries are adopting the foundational models. Yeah, anyone wants to go next? While
I think I kind of agree with you, and my point is also within the general sense is that because it's such a dynamically changing field right now, I think a lot of concepts and stuff in the foundation are not very clear in that sense. And I guess book like AI engineering book would help for that case. But because, for example, a few months back, agents were the thing, and a lot of people were using it as well. But there wasn't really no proper definition of what an agent is. So I think that also needs to be nailed down. If like, okay, if RAG is it, then what is it, and all that stuff. And because it's changing so fast, it's really hard to get a grasp of everything that's happening. And I think that's also is limiting how we are able to use it in applications or use cases as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with Akash. Thanks so much for your comments on there. Yeah, especially for the agent, which this book has not covered. This chapter has not covered a lot right now, but we have this book has a chapter on the RAG and agents in week 6. Yeah, so yeah, that would be very interesting to read that book and to see how it is defined in this book.
Yeah, I'm particularly looking forward to that chapter and the evaluation one. I think those are like the main chapter for me, I would say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, another thing that the author mentioned at the beginning of the book is that so essentially each chapter is for one module or one topic, so does not have a sequence for reading each chapter. But for us, it's going chapter by chapter. But if you're interested in the particular chapter, you can definitely just jump to that chapter. Don't need the preceding chapters as the prerequisites.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. See the question. So, scale building and engineering, particularly for cloud and production. Anyone wants to answer that question in the chat? Good. So is your question more around just having some hands-on experience as for the skill building in AI engineering, right?
Yeah, I think since we're reading these books, oh sorry, the echo is pretty loud. So since we're reading these books, and there are several topics, and I think you're mentioning in your slide as already, like maybe the question is not like we have some trivial models, but the more important thing is more on how we hosting the development and the architect in the cloud environment, as well as what's that, and also like version. Yeah, since the quick iterations of all the fundamental models, and so I was wondering if there are some, like I know like there are a lot of options like Club is, but some of them may be very expensive or very hard to get some hands-on experience on it. So I was wondering if there is some convenient tools or any just recommendations alongside with this book for some hands-on experience.
So a quick question: are you specifically talking, like asking about any specific tools or something like that?
No, I think in general, like
You know, I think
yeah, go ahead.
I think in the cloud and production environment, I think most of the AWS or GCP, they do give free trials. And if we are like a graduate student or something, we could ask professors and to get free credits to get hands-on experience on that cloud. But they also have some interactive tutorials maybe to get get a bit of hands-on experience. Uh, that would be, I think, my suggestion. And also, you could go to Reddit and search for this. There is quite a bit. Within next class, I'll make sure if I could share some information. I think if I could find some information, something like that, I could share for you. Yep.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, one thing to this. Yeah, thanks so much, Anirudh, answer. So also in the book, in the one of the footnotes here, the author mentioned Streamlit, Gradio, and Plotly Dash are common tools for building AI web apps. So I have some experience with Streamlit before, so I think it's very useful and very easy to start with, because on their website they have a lot of the examples. Basically, you can see their source code, and also Streamlit has a free cloud. So essentially, if you are just building a simple app with not a lot of the users from beginning, you can just easily deploy that to the Streamlit cloud, and then you will have a URL that you can share with other people. So in that case, you can focus on, and also the Streamlit backend essentially is Python. So basically, you can try iterating with, say, adding in the APIs and basic skill building in AI engineering without worrying too much on the UI and cloud deployment from the beginning.
So would you mind sharing some of the good tutorials you think into the Discord channel so everybody can see that?
Definitely. Yeah, if we find any good learning resources, let's share in the Discord channel. I think it's a big emerging field. The resources online might not use really the most up to date or relevant. So it definitely requires some evaluation before going through, because change so fast. But on the cost-effective aspect, I think in the past when I tried some side project, I also worried that, but since the API essentially is a usage page, and now it's so much cheaper. So for most of the cases, even though there are maybe some dozens of the user app, maybe the cost is just several cents at the most. So usually I think and also on the OpenAI website, you can basically set a budget, say $5 or $10 per month, so that you can make, and on AWS and Google, you can also set a budget as well. So this way, even though it's in the production, it can make sure that it will not go beyond the budget you set. Yeah, hope that answers your question.
So if you guys want to build a SAP project on language model, and you happen to have a MacBook, all right, or something like a gaming computer, you can just use Ollama, and you can pretty much use off-the-shelf model right there. It's very easy to use. You don't even need to touch the API, because well, everyone knows how to call API. So you might better just learn how to use the local. And there has been a trend that more and more language models, even visual language models, start being more local. And then if you follow the news, you can even run model like DeepSeek on like very small computers, and with even doesn't even has much GPU. So that's one thing you can consider.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Jing. So I just curious, more like a simple poll. So so is everyone right now more like using the AI models for the work and try to learn more about that, or more like interested to learn that and maybe in the future transition into the field? Or basically, what's your goal of or you want to get from reading this book? So I think I can start. So for me, I think, yeah, definitely, I think right now, even at the work, I see that so many interest and adoptions of AI, but still, and there are also a lot of interesting challenges yet to be solved. So I think the author basically aggregates so much valuable resources and information from the industry and condense that into this book. So especially in some topic like evaluation and RAG and agents, I think it will be very helpful for me to get a more comprehensive understanding of these topics. So this way, I think for me, so for building the future projects, I can better understand the available framework and tools out there. This way, maybe, so it will be helpful to make the better decisions when thinking about what tools to use.
Yeah, my experience is also a bit similar. I mainly require to get like better understanding for work purposes. Like recently, I was working on a project where I was required to build like a RAG system, although it didn't pan out that way. But yeah, throughout the project, I like realized that I kind of lack the coherent understanding of this, changing landscape. So yeah, my main intention is also to get familiar with the concepts and the tools used.
Yeah. Yeah, so this book actually, I think it mentions that it tries to cover more the foundations and principles of the field instead of the tools, because the tools can come and go, which definitely is the case, because I remember just when last year or something, if you guys still remember, the OpenAI had a big event and they have this like GPT store and everyone basically can, build their like GPT by uploading a PDF, but I feel that no one is talking about that anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah, things changed a lot. And also I think back in 2023, there also like more interest that time in fine-tuning a model because I definitely see a lot of teams at work doing things like that. But now after that, the API get stronger, cheaper, or even with the rack. So it seems that you do not most of the cases. So or put another way that it becomes more and more unnecessary to build or like spend time on fine training a model. Looks like that's
Also like the context length is also increasing nowadays.
Mhm.
Also, like Gemini offers a lot. I think 1 million tokens. I think.
Yeah. Mhm.
So for that also, like people were discussing if RAG would be essential now or not. So yeah, definitely, it's interesting time.
Yeah.
Fine tuning is also getting easier in the sense like earlier you would require a lot of resources, and now if you are using like Unsloth or something, then you can. I think they released the uh, collab template to fine tune the DeepSeek the reasoning one,
Mhm.
like to get that reasoning in your own models. And I think that's like so cool. You can just do it on a Google Colab. So
Yeah, definitely. So which API do you guys like the most or use the most? Or in general the AI tools?
personally, I like to first test it mostly with Gemini or
Mhm.
Gemini, the Google API. I think because it offers like a very gracious free tier to test stuff out. And then if it's like for work, then usually the final selected model is generally it used to be ChatGPT or the Anthropic because their models for like till a few weeks back their models were like the best, but as of now I think even Gemini really competes well,
Mhm.
and even you know open source models are also now doing very competitive benchmarks. So
Yeah,
no Lord of the Rings here.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel Gemini model has catching up very quickly, mostly because Google has this power essentially to integrate it with their products. Because before I will use the ChatGPT more, I feel it's more advanced than Gemini until so basically if your organization already use uh, Google for everything else, like Google Docs, Google Drive to store the information. And then if you are on, I think the Gemini Enterprise version, essentially it can directly integrate and find the information in your Google Drive. So that is a huge feature compared with Copilot because you can just directly asking the Gemini some things about some docs in the Google Drive instead of uploading the file to the interface again. So essentially, not only can it just search information online, but also can search within the Google Drive if it's on the enterprise version, and if you give it the permission to access that. So yeah, I think that's a nice integration, especially at work.
Also, in my like limited experience, I felt like the Gemini works better with PDF. then it could just be like my use case. But especially if it's for like non-English PDFs, I felt Gemini was working better than GPT.
Got it. Anyone else want to chime in?
So, so I was basically working on mostly on image models recently, like till the last year, until the scope of LLMs got so much bigger, and everybody started speaking, and it was like in a hype, I think, and for me, studying this book, I think I would improve more on my knowledge, and also on because I have used AWS Comprehend, which is similar LLM, which is a production level LLM, and there I think it differs so many aspects of open source as well, and um, so these so to enhance my experience with open source, also to explore so many other things, I think I'm interested in reading this book, and explore more about LLMs, and and production level cloud and everything. That is my main intention of reading this book.
Yeah, definitely. I think this book is very practical, because in the past I already stopped reading these lots of tech books, because usually they are not related with the actual work itself. But I like Chip's book, like the previous book on designing ML systems. These are the actual things which you find helpful for interviews or at work. So I think also this book will probably following the same like principles and the writing style from the previous book, in terms of actually very helpful for us as professionals in this field.
Yep. She knows where to target, and she knows how to capture her audience in the book, actually. In her previous book also, I think she captured most of the things, kept it very straight and straightforward, so that it would be very useful for the interviews, and enhance her knowledge also.
Definitely. I think we have some minutes. So another interesting topic I want to discuss with you guys is, so here we are talking more about building the AI applications ourselves, right? The things to consider. So, and right now there's a lot of the software companies already have these AI applications. So question for you is to discuss is what these AI products or features you like, or maybe we can just focus on the things, the good ones. Something you actually find their AI products are something helpful to you, not just a marketing buzzword for them. Because Google, Microsoft, Amazon, basically any of these software companies now, they have some sort of AI features right now. There's like a lot of talented people are building the AI applications at this team, but whether you find this useful and what are the useful things?
I think the
ChatGPT.
most
Yeah,
useful
sure, go on. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I think the most useful one right now is Copilot from GitHub. It just makes everything so easy, and you don't need to switch back to the web version of any language model. And the design product so good, so that it just makes everything so smooth.
Yeah.
And I think that has been the best I've been using in the past.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I think having the ability to basically as a IDE extension, it's so useful and easy in terms of the interaction. And also it basically sits on a huge data set and resources for them to train their model on.
I was also going to mention like Cursor and Copilot, uh, but I usually use like Jupyter notebooks or Google Colab notebooks. So I usually use Google Colab notebooks, so I'm not able to use much of like Cursor and Copilot. Because I don't think there's like an integration for that right now. So yeah, I still stick to uh, copy and pasting the code to ChatGPT back and forth.
Yeah. So I was mention one product which I find useful and one which I don't find very useful maybe. So one product I found useful is Notion. So basically I have been using Notion basically for all the note taking and organizing things. And Notion's AI is actually a good use case because basically your node itself is a database, different formats and different pages. But with that AI interface, you can easily search and answer questions. For example, if I want to have a page in Notion on, say, AI agent, and I just have some introduction or basic information of that, instead of copying from other resources, I can just using AI to basically compete on that part. So I think that's something I find pretty helpful. Something I don't helpful, maybe you will have different experiences on linking. I basically upgrade my linking premium just to try out their AI features when making the post or more like giving you some prompt when replying to other people. But I found that it's not necessarily a huge productivity boost, at least for me.
Even for like general user experience, also like LinkedIn. I mean, like LinkedIn was memed earlier as well, but now it's a lot more like that. It's a bot. It just feels like a bot. All the comments. So yeah, I think LinkedIn needs to reevaluate their AI usage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, another product that I do like to enjoy is Notebook LM. It's really good if you want to get some, if you want to, learn about the research papers and some PDF documents, etc. It gives a very nice overview with a podcast, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. I think
So,
that one that time we would
yeah, thank you everyone. Session, I actually have to leave, so sorry, I'll just leave.
Yeah, well, about to wrap up. Yeah, so thanks so much everyone for joining. So just to recap, we have the sign up sheet and lots of the slots. But you don't need to be a presenter in order to read the book. So yeah, you can always read the book, the chapter every time, any time, and come with questions prepared. And also on the Discord channel, you can also ask questions, engage with other person's questions, and so yeah, let's learning from each other and try to see how much we can learn from this book and from each other in the next